Welcome to the morning grind here at RotoGrinders.com. Dean, that's Dean 704 filling in for Stevie. Stevie will be back soon enough. I'll be here Monday through Friday during these times. Not a lot of sports. And for the most part, I'm going to do a lot of interview stuff, interview style, and just talk to people as far as their DFS life, DFS perspective, and things like that. But I actually tune in tomorrow, Tuesday. We're going to be talking to Head Chopper. That'll be good times for sure. And we should mention not only just streaming on the podcast, we're also available on youtube.com so you can see our beautiful radio faces. Speaking of legends, you mentioned Chopper. Today we're bringing a legend as well. It's Notorious. He's going to be talking to some golf with us. What's going on, Noto? We're, how's quarantine life been treating you?
Yeah, everyone likes to complain about quarantine life. I like to see some silver linings. We get to stay at home, watch a lot of TV, get a lot of time with my little one that I probably wouldn't have had otherwise. He's got school usually. I got work full time. So it's been a lot of fun. Just getting to do – he's got these little challenges that he sets up for me every single day. He's a very creative little kid. So we've been having a lot of fun. He actually goes back to school today. So I'm a little bit sad about that. But, I kind of like quarantine life. The missus – obviously sees it a little differently. She's more of a people person, wants to get out there, wants to go to the restaurant and bar and have some fun. But, for the most part, we've been pretty good in quarantine. How about you?
It's going all right. Yeah, I saw my first real-life person the other day. And I'm by myself. I don't have a family and things of that sort. But, my brother happened to be driving through, and he stayed here for like a day and a half or something like that. But before that, I had not seen a real life person up close. I'm aware they still exist. I talk to people on Skype and, things like that. And I see them off the balcony, but actually within 10 feet. It took about 60 days or so. But I'm fine. I'm doing all right. It could be much worse, and people are in much worse situations than I am. So I'm perfectly fine with it, I suppose. And hopefully, getting a little bit antsy for sure, but hopefully this will pass soon enough. You're right.
Have you gotten any good food? Last time I saw you just had protein bars in there.
I mean, you'd think looking at me, but no, it was the protein bar life for a while, and I kind of stocked up beforehand. And I've had too many protein bars, and every once in a while I'll have a cheat meal and things like that. But nothing special. And then you know what? I actually, when my brother was here, Hattie B's is right around the corner for me. I could actually walk to Hattie B's if I want to. Of course, we didn't. You can't leave the house, God forbid. But, I had
Hattie B's.
We ordered some Hattie B's, and you're going to be disappointed in me. I know you are, but I had it Southern style, which means absolutely zero heat. I'm a big wimp is what I'm saying.
I'm just happy you're eating it. For the longest time, you were just dogging on it. So if you're eating it, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, well, I don't understand. We'll talk about the golf in a second, but I just don't understand. I don't understand the concept of I want to make my mouth on fire. I don't know how that's enjoyable. I don't get the concept of hot sauce, and I'm aware that I'm in the minority in this. But sell me on hot sauce. Hey, do you want something that's going to burn your mouth? And everybody's raises their hand. I don't get it. That's all.
No, yeah, I'm with you. I like spice. I like spice, but I'm usually mild or medium. When it doesn't even taste like anything and it's just hot, then I kind of throw it out. But I do like a little bit of spice in my life. And, other quarantine's been good too. I've been cooking a lot, been working out a lot. It's not too bad.
Yeah, I have been working out. I have some dumbbells in the living room or something like that, basically to kind of get by. But unfortunately, our gym is closed, and I imagine you have a backyard and grass, things like that. I don't have that, so
yeah.
or no gym, unfortunately. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah, and we actually live on a park, so our whole backyard's a big park, which is kind of nice. Other than the neighbor kids right now, they have a 4-wheeler. And they're just riding around my backyard with the 4-wheeler with the sled tied to the back. They're just going really hard till 10 o'clock every night.
Is that age appropriate for 4 and 5-year-olds, or I don't know the rules?
I mean, not for me. I don't know their parents, but it doesn't seem too safe. I don't know.
All right. So you wrote an article. It's up there. It's available for premium. Don't want to give away the entire thing, but as far as what's going down in the Outlaw Golf tournament, Outlaw Golf is going to be, I believe it locks Tuesday around noon East time, give or take within an hour or so. So we kind of talked briefly about this off air, but refresh my memory, refresh the listeners' memory who have not heard you talk about it just yet. Outlaw Golf, it's like normal golf, but the players aren't as good, and the variance is much higher, kind of, sort of. Is that about right?
That is about right. It is the minor leagues of the PGA Tour. You'd have to win quite a few of these just to get up to the Korn Ferry Tour. And then from there, you'd have to, play really well to get up to the PGA Tour. So these are golfers that you aren't going to recognize, most likely, unless you've been grinding the Outlaw Tour. The tournament last week did have a few PGA Tour regulars in it, but not any big names. So anyway, yeah, it's highly variant, just given the talent of these golfers, and then you add in the fact that it is showdown as well, which is also highly variant. And golf in general is, got a lot of variance to it. So you definitely can't expect to win every single day, but we've done our best to, come up with some projections. I've gone through every mini tour I could find in Arizona. Copy and pasted all those leaderboards to come up with a stroke differential and a birdie or better percentage to help me make some projections. And then we have Lineup HQ going. We don't have any ownership projections. A lot of people have been asking about that. I've always been so bad at predicting ownership that I haven't tried my hand on it yet, but maybe we'll get that in the next couple of weeks. But for the most part, I think there's enough information in this article to be able to be ahead of, the rest of the industry.
So for that reason, talking about how these guys are basically amateurs, and we talked about this before. You said it was $900 to buy into this tournament. Like anybody, any club, you just say, hey, you know what? I feel like golfing. I'm going to spend the $900. Sure, why not? And the prize money is essentially the prize money for winning the DFS tournament. Which is amazing and hilarious, and you got to dive into that as well. As far as a variance scale, like from basketball to baseball, where does this sort of fit in? Like I assume it's more like on the baseball side than the basketball side when it comes to variance?
Yeah, definitely more on the baseball side. Even the PGA Tour is probably more on the baseball side than basketball side, and especially for showdown. And then, like we said, you add in the talent of these golfers, and it's definitely highly variant. And the fact that we're all kind of just going in blind, everyone just leans on Vegas. So the guys that are mispriced, the guys that have good Vegas odds compared to their salaries are going to be incredibly highly owned. So if you can find one or two of them that you don't like for whatever reason, then that's kind of a step to differentiate your lineups a little bit.
Do you have anybody like that out the dome? Like maybe somebody that looks like Vegas is basically telling you that they're too cheap, and maybe somebody else says that Vegas is telling you they're too expensive?
Yeah, so I actually have an odds plus minus column in the article that you can sort by if you want. So the higher the number means, the better it is in terms of a DraftKings value. So somebody like Sam Triplett, 7,500. He's 46 to 1 to win. The guys priced around him on DraftKings are 70 to 1, something like that. Pretty good birdie better rate. He's played a ton of rounds on these mini tours, 56 rounds so far in the last year. He even played this tournament back in September, third place here. So I think he's going to be one of those very popular guys. And then you have other guys if you want to sort the other direction. You can go through and look through and find the other guys that are going to be lower owned to their Vegas odds.
What is the favor? Like, what's the odds? What is there? 81 golfers? Is that what it is? Like, what's the favor? Like 6 to 1, 10 to 1? I imagine there's not really somebody that's clearly separating from the field, but you tell me.
Yeah,
according to the Vegas odds.
6 to 1, Dylan Wu. Last week we had 164 golfers in the field, I believe, and Joel Damon was a PGA Tour guy. He was 5 to 1. So since he's not in the field this week, odds are spread out a little bit. There's 4 guys under 10 to 1. I will note that these markets are juiced up. There's like a 40% implied juice, so I probably wouldn't bet too much on these events. But DraftKings, luckily, we don't have to pay that big of a rake.
Yeah, well, stick around. But it's been going up. Hopefully, it doesn't get there for sure. Amongst the most expensive guys, who stands out for you the most?
Yeah, so I think you can go with any of the golfers above 10K. There's enough value in the $7,000 range this week that you can easily start your lineups with one of these guys. Dylan Wu is probably the most talented in the field. Before the virus hit, he was one of the better golfers on the Korn Ferry Tour. So if you want to start with him, you can. 11.4 is a little bit expensive. I kind of like KK Lumba Sout, who has been playing every single week on these mini tours. He's won, and he just seems to have really high floor, really high ceiling. He's going to be popular. He's 8 to 1, and he's considerably cheaper than Wu and Coletti, and he played here back in September. So I do like him, but he will be higher owned than the guys priced around him.
Your general lineup construction, or as far as how you make lineups, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you make maybe like 2 or 3 lineups. Is that basically how you enter your contest essentially?
I'm usually 1 lineup per sport per slate, but when it comes to golf, I'll do MME. It's the one sport that I will MME just because I have time to do it and I don't have to create stacks and you just pick your exposure percentages, run it lineup HQ and let it go. When it comes to football, baseball, you obviously got to be worried about your stacking.
I was going to say there's no correlation in golf, but I think you correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like there's like weather correlation, right?
So yeah, you could do weather. It's overplayed more often than not. Somebody will see a 3 mile per hour wind difference between the morning and the afternoon, and all of a sudden ownership just sways one direction or the other, and then the advantage never comes to fruition, or sometimes it even swings the other way because weather's kind of crazy. So I typically try to avoid it unless it's pretty drastic in terms of the weather split. But I actually haven't looked for this tournament. I'll have to do that after the show.
I assume is Roth doing weather on that? I know he's been doing it for golf in the past. I'm not sure if the Outlaw tournament. I don't know if Roth gets out of bed for the Outlaw tournament. I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I was hoping to win that personalized weather forecast from that poker tournament, but
were you in that? Were you in that tournament as well? Did anybody win a bounty on you?
Yeah, I don't know what they won. I can't remember. I think it was a DFS coaching lesson, but I never heard from anybody. So if you're out there,
nobody wanted to turn in mine as well too. I had 2 different ones, but one for me was we were going to watch Dirty Grandpa with me, Chopper, and Big T, and that's like a punishment. Like, and shockingly, this person did not redeem it. They said, "You know what? I'm good." So that was supposedly an award. That was going to be a prize, but Chopper came up with it, and I don't really know what happened. But,
I wanted the forecast, and I wanted the man's coin.
Yeah, I want to get one of those man's coins as well too. But and apparently he's pumping out more than supposedly is in production. Like, and more people than you think actually have one. I think he's supposedly limited like 100 or so, but there's more than that out there.
Makes me feel even worse. Thanks, Pete.
I don't have one either. I'll slide into the DMs. We'll see if we can make it work for you. All right, so back to this tournament. How much can I leave over as far as salary? Because we talked about the high variance of these players, and you want to be different, you want to be goofy sometimes too, and embrace the variance when it comes to tournaments. 50K, total salary on DK. Are you comfortable leaving 1,000, 1,500 left over?
Well, the problem with this tournament is that everyone is priced pretty closely to their Vegas odds, and it's a very weak field. So you're going to get a lot of these 6K golfers that end up losing points just because they're going to play so bad in round one. So I would probably try to spend most of your cap. I think when I'm going to run my MME, I'll put the min to 49K and the max to 49.9, just so I leave 100 on the table, try to differentiate a little bit. And then in my main lineup, I almost always use most of the salary cap. Are you kind of the same way when you build your cash game lineup?
Generally speaking, yeah. From a cash game perspective, like generally speaking, like you can almost always find a way to quote unquote upgrade. Yeah. Obviously sometimes it kind of bites you, and in tournaments, when I make tournament lineups, I like to just basically take my cash game core and then just like flip 2 players, like something like that, and all of a sudden, you do like a 2v2, and it gets you, instantly different all of a sudden, despite the fact that you have some chalky players. That's a whole other conversation, I suppose. But
I'm the same way.
Yeah, you do the same thing. Oh, good. I'm glad that we're there. You go. You're a good person to be lined up with that. As far as mid tier, do you have anybody in the mid tier that's kind of jumping out for you?
Yeah, let me see who I wrote up. So Peter Quest at 9,200 went to BYU. So my alma mater's rival there. It's hard to cheer for anyone that went to BYU, but this guy's a monster. He was the number 1 ranked college golfer in the world before the season got canceled. So this was his senior year. His first pro tournament was last week at the Scottsdale Open. Ended up playing really well the first 2 rounds, kind of fell apart in the final round. But he's a monster off the tee. He had one of the highest eagle rates of anyone in college this season. And I don't think a ton of people know about him just yet. The guys grinding these mini tours will probably know, but I think he's going to be really good. I think he's got an outside chance to win this week.
I don't think a ton of people know about any of these guys. Maybe that's just me.
Well, I mean, we've had 2 months now, and you know how it is. When a new sport's released, and especially if it's a sport that you already love, you just go, you dive in, So now these guys are regulars to me, and some of the other guys that I've been talking to around the industry. So it's kind of funny how quickly you adapt.
Yeah. So I'm curious. You mentioned on the new sports. Have you been grinding LOL or Counter-Strike or anything like that?
So I tried LOL, and I mean, the contests were huge. So I obviously wanted to try it, and, stacking, it seems like that's the best way to do it. Just do 4 from one, 3 from the other. But then like some of them are best of 1 series, and 10 minutes in, it's over. And I'm like, wait, it's over. I lost it. I can't do that. I do like the Counter-Strike just because you can sweat it a little bit. You can watch it, or, they have the play-by-play kind of like they do for the other sports on their HLTV or whatever. So I've been doing that a little bit. I kind of like Counter-Strike.
I hear people raving about the announcers for is it LOL? Apparently, the announcers are great. On Twitch. I haven't watched much of it. I've seen like a few minutes of it, but I'm told they're very good. I don't know.
Yeah, I've just seen the highlights on Twitter that people posted, but yeah, I would love to have those kind of announcers for golf or something. That'd be great.
Yeah. Did they get it corrected as far as golf? And again, I don't play golf, full disclosure. I mean, I'll dabble every once in a while when I want to take it or things like that. Or if it's a big tournament, I'll have some fun with it. Just basically take your content and cards and the expert survey and things like that. Did they correct apparently people were upset with a shot tracker. Is that going to be a thing it's going forward? It's going to be corrected. You know what I'm talking about? As far as like, you don't really know where you are in the standings, or there was an updated scoring. Am I just making this up? And I read I'm probably just.
Was it for the Outlaw Tour or was it for something else?
Last week, apparently, I think DB was talking about it. Several people on Twitter were talking about how
the scoring. Yeah. So last week technically wasn't an Outlaw Tour event, and they've been working really hard. They had like 100 followers on their Twitter before this all started. And, now they're doing periscopes. They're going around. They got 3 guys on cameras and golf carts following everyone, giving us live updates. They completely revamped their scoring. So they have people following each group, relaying the information somewhere, and then they're updating on the site. So they've been doing hole-by-hole scoring, but the tournament last week only had scoring after each 9 holes. So basically you had to wait 2 hours before any update for every player. But this week we'll have hole-by-hole scoring back.
I'm not sure if you played KBO, the Korean baseball on FanDuel, but like they don't update your scores until the end. It's a weird sweat, man.
It's definitely not as fun if you can't sweat whatever you're playing. But I have yet to try KBO. I think I'm set to do the expert survey today, so I need to learn quickly.
Yeah, I've been doing a little content as well too, and the weird thing is that why am I up like watching KBO and not just like sleeping when it comes to the FanDuel? But my schedule can be kind of wonky from time to time. But it's what's that?
Do you have to set your alarm to check lineups? How early are they posted?
That's the tricky part. A couple of things. Well, there's been some rainouts that have essentially they rained out games like a minute or 2 minutes before lock, like literally. That's happened several times already. Where just like the rainouts come out of nowhere. Well, not come out of nowhere, but like they don't do a very good job of They make it very suspenseful, like it's an action movie or something like that. They basically cut it down to the wire. And the other part of it is lineups are released like an hour beforehand, like universally. You don't have a lot of time, essentially. Yeah. So
are you up that late, or are you setting your alarm every night?
It depends. And sometimes like my schedule is now changing because I'm hosting the morning grind temporarily for Stevie. So we're recording this at like, what is it? 10 o'clock in the morning, my time. So it's even earlier for you, I imagine.
Yeah. I would definitely, there's no way I'm staying up till 3:30. So I would definitely have to set my alarm.
Yeah, I am curious, like who the people stay up until 5 o'clock or they wake up for 5 o'clock. And I'm curious who does what. I'm pretty sure Jamino is going to bed early and waking up like at 4 o'clock and like figuring whatever the time is, like figuring stuff out, as far as the news then. But Jamino, shout out to Jamino. He's working very hard. He's on all these sports that are kind of sort of coming out of nowhere. So
he's a true grinder. Props to Jamino for everything.
Yeah, he's one of the unsung heroes here at RotoGrinders. Give me your favorite cheapie as far as this, and of course, again, if you guys want to learn all of Dodo's thoughts, if you guys are premium members, check out the article you've written. It's pretty thorough. There's graphs, there's numbers, there's all sorts of good stuff there to dig into. But give me your favorite punt player too, and if you want to make a bold proclamation, tell me who's winning this thing.
All right, winning. I'm going to go back to Quest. We just talked about him from BYU. I think he has a good shot this week. He can go low. There's 4 par 5s, and again, he's really long off the tee. But for the value play, I was talking to you about this before the show. Noah Hoffman, 2 weeks ago, he was signed up to play the Outlaw Tour event. He didn't know he was signed up. Apparently, his coach or manager or swing coach, whatever it was, signed him up like 5 weeks ago when another tournament got canceled. And so he was in the DraftKings system, and he was one of the more popular players because he was like 30-1 to win. He's looked like a pretty good value play. He was the number 1 college golfer in NAIA, which is kind of like the Division II for college. And all of a sudden he shows up and didn't show up for his tee time. Everyone on Twitter went after him saying, "Where are you?" And he's like, "What are you talking about? I just woke up. I'm supposed to play golf for 3 weeks." So then an hour later, the Outlaw Tour said, he paid and this and that. And then he was going after the Outlaw Tour. And then he sent a picture of him in golf clothes saying he's ready to go. So that got all the DFS guys' hopes up. They thought they were going to let him out there on the course. And This is wild times. But anyway, he's in the field.
You have to make your tee time, I assume. You can't just like show up whenever, right? Is that the idea? Is that why?
I mean, in most events, yes. I honestly thought they were going to let him play. Everyone else was already done when he sent the picture out. I thought he was just going to go out there by himself, but it's pretty funny. He was on the Fantasy Golf podcast with two of the other industry guys this week, so he is going to be out there. I can confirm that this week. And 7,800 is a good price point. Hopefully, there are enough people that were burned by him before that they won't go back to the well.
Yeah, that's narrative street for you too. And I just want to fire up this guy's Twitter and like read his mentions. I'm just curious, like how angry people were. Get out of bed, dude. Yeah. You're supposed to be golfing. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about, man. This is what you get with the Outlaw Golf Tour, I imagine. This doesn't happen in the PGA Tour.
No. And, these guys, they probably don't know a whole lot about DraftKings and all that. But the best thing you can do is embrace the DFS crowd, because if you don't, you're going to have a lot of angry tweets coming your way. If you embrace them, people are a lot more forgiving.
Yeah, who's the guy? I don't think he's that great of a golfer. Maybe he's perfectly fine. I think he was sort of like a cheapie, but there was one guy that even I started following because, like, I'm always appreciative of the guys that embrace DFS and understand that also it's great for marketing too. Who are the great DFS golf follows? Because I can't think of the guy's name.
Oh, man. I've been grinding these mini tours. I can't even remember. But Willie Wilcox was kind of the first guy. He doesn't really play on the PGA Tour anymore. He didn't really make it, but he was like the first guy that wanted to be sponsored by DraftKings and would interact with everyone. He would go every stop he made at the airport. He would go and say, I'll be here for an hour if anyone wants to come have a beer with me. And he really embraced everybody. He had a huge fan. And then he made a hole-in-one at the Players Championship. That was really cool. But unfortunately, he's no longer on the PGA Tour.
That is the guy I was thinking of, yeah, and I definitely appreciate that kind of attitude. Anything else you want to say as far as this tournament, or I did want to talk about it. I think you're a perfect guest to have on, for better or for worse, but you're here in Utah. You're a Jazz fan. We just watched the Jordan documentary, the 10-part series. Of course, last night they focused on the series against Utah. I'm curious to get your takes on that. But if you have anything else to say as far as this tournament, and maybe if you had some thoughts, I know it's early. It's going down later on this weekend as far as Tiger Woods and Peyton Manning versus Phil Mickelson and Tom Brady. The odds currently, Tiger and Manning are minus 225. According to the DK Sportsbook, you can get plus 180 on Brady and Mickelson. Thoughts as far as any closing thoughts as far as the Outlaw contest? And if you have anything to say regarding early thoughts as far as Woods versus Mickelson and the football players.
Yeah, so for the Outlaw Tour, if you have any questions, leave them in the article and I'll get to them, or hit me up on Discord. I'm always in there answering any questions that you have. Also, lean on projections, use Lineup HQ. As far as the Brady-Manning match, I think it'll be fun. I think minus 225 is a terrible number to bet. If I had to pick a winner, I would obviously side with Tiger. This is different than most events like this because it's alternating shots. So Phil Mickelson hits some crazy drives. I don't know if Tom Brady is going to be able to play out of the trees like Phil does. So I would definitely give the edge to Tiger. But maybe you wait, and if you're going to bet on it, wait until they lose a couple holes and you get a better line. Something like that. I don't know. I think it's going to be fun to watch. It's for charity, so I don't know how motivated these guys are going to be. When they played the skins match a couple years ago, Phil loves money. If you put money on the line, he steps up his game for real. And he beat Tiger in that skins match in Vegas that was pretty terrible to watch. But anyway, I don't know.
They're betting money on the side, right? These guys are definitely betting money, like secretly against each other, I would imagine.
You would think so. And Tiger's played this course a bunch. I don't think Phil's ever played here before. And Tiger's got, the narrative of not losing to Phil twice in a row in these little side matches. But we did see Rory and DJ beat Fowler and Wolf yesterday, I believe, on Sunday. They had a similar match. I would have taken the underdog just because these things are pretty much a coin flip anyway. But if I would bet on it, I would probably just wait until you can get a better line on Tiger and Manning.
We talk about the competitive nature of Mickelson, of Brady, of Manning, and Woods, but that's a good segue into the Jordan documentary. Your general overall thoughts. I know it's a lot to take in, and I imagine you watched all 10 parts, which is fabulous. And I knew it was going to be excellent. Like ESPN 30 for 30 does an incredible job. They're pretty much all their 30 for 30s are good in different degrees of good. But who's more competitive than Jordan? Like, we knew he was competitive, but some of the things that he does is just it's wild. Your overall thoughts, your big takeaways as far as the Jordan documentary.
Oh man, the whole series was just wonderful. I mean, I'm so mad that it's over. I think watching the last two episodes, I kind of knew, we knew it was ending, so I didn't like him quite as much as the first eight for whatever reason. As strange as that sounds, maybe it has something to do with my Jazz being in there. Um, but I thought it was awesome. Just seeing, back in the '90s with no cell phones, no social media, and how big of superstars these guys were, and then Jordan, like you mentioned, the competitiveness, whether he was playing cards on the golf course. Whatever, and he holds grudges to this day. I mean, when they gave him the thing before Isaiah Thomas said his thing about shaking the hand, and he's like, "I don't care what Isaiah has to say, he's still an asshole."
So you watched the ESPN version, right? Great job. Thank you, ESPN, for letting the F-bombs fly and things like that. They had two different broadcasts, like one with the cursing, one without the cursing. But I just felt like it helped, and it's cool to see these guys and they just feel comfortable, right? So you have watched the ESPN version, I assume.
Yeah, I didn't know there was another version. I just did the one that said contains mature language. Definitely got to click on that one. But yeah, it's kind of funny. I didn't really appreciate his greatness while he was playing because, the Jazz that's the only time they went to the finals were 97 and 98. And then my favorite player growing up was Reggie Miller. So I just got bludgeoned by MJ for 2 years straight. And then he retired the second time, and they started coming out with there was another documentary back then. I think it was on IMAX or something like that. And I would watch that every time I had like a middle school basketball game. I'd watch that to pump myself up. I always loved Space Jam. I always loved his shoes. Still wear the Jordan brand anytime I can. So I thought the whole thing was pretty great.
Yeah, I'm getting a flashback to like years ago. We did a Grinders live show or something like that, and I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, was your backdrop not like a Michael Jordan picture of some sort?
Yeah, it was. Probably half the things I own are probably Jordan brand.
Yeah. So, like you said, you got bludgeoned last night because Reggie Miller, he pushed off, right? You can confirm he pushed off, despite the fact that was your guy?
Yeah. I mean, at the time, I probably didn't think he did. But yeah, it was cool they got Reggie, and they even got Stockton. At the start of this, he posted on Twitter that he's not going to watch a Jordan fluff piece. And then he was in it the whole time. I thought that was pretty cool.
Well, it's interesting you say fluff piece because one of my thoughts on it is that you can't completely ignore the fact that Jordan's production company was involved in the making of this, and they probably were a little kinder in certain areas than they could have been, and whatever. And it was nice to see him at least be vulnerable and admit maybe when he was being a jerk on certain things as well too. And the scene where he was talking about basically his competitiveness and essentially how he would be a jerk to some of his teammates for the greater good, at least in his mind. He was all about the end game and all about winning and how much he prioritized that, and it was almost worth it to be a jerk to his teammates. And then he said cut, or he said break, right? That was a break.
Yeah.
And he started breaking down a little bit. And it was just cool to kind of see that side of him. And he talked about punching Steve Kerr. He's like he's the littlest guy in the team, and I felt this big. And great job on Kerr last night, by the way. I mean, if you didn't like Kerr going into last night, you should like him now. Seems like a really, really good dude. And his speech, did you like his speech when he was taking all the?
I mean, it was all great, and like you mentioned, they did change the history a little bit when it came to his gambling, and some of the other things shine some different light on it than probably what really happened. But there's a lot of stuff in there that I wasn't expecting. Even before it came out, Jordan was saying people are gonna hate me and think I was the worst teammate ever. But I liked his line about I'll never ask any of my teammates to do something I wouldn't do myself. And then he's doing the up and downs. What are those called? Ladders, whatever it was. But when he tears up at the end, it was so good. And one of the things that I couldn't believe, I mean, Jerry Reinsdorf, the owner, just totally throwing Jerry Krause under the bus. I mean, he could have fired him the whole time if he really wanted to, right?
Yeah, but he might have been like a shield, I think, because I think that they didn't like either Jerry's. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, but I think they disliked Krause more.
Yeah,
he's a great dancer, though. You can't take that away from Jerry Krause.
Yeah, that's my favorite GIF. There were so many GIFs from that show. His bodyguard with the quarters doing
amazing. Yeah, I mean, the hair, everything about that makes that so perfect. Like him beating Jordan on one throw. And Jordan will just gamble on anything, which is great, too. Like there was a story that wasn't in there, but talking about he would gamble about whose luggage comes out first, when they're getting off the plane. And the story goes that he would pay off the person putting the luggage on there. So he would rig it. And he doesn't need the money. He just wants to win. That's his competitive nature.
Yeah, I can't imagine being that competitive. I just want everyone to get along and have fun, but got to respect it. I mean, it's crazy. It's what made him who he was.
Yeah, so I want to see it's over. We're depressed. It's over. Who knows what? ESPN does have 3:30 for 30s coming up. Lance Armstrong, Bruce Lee, and the Sosa McGuire. Which those should be, I mean, I watch anything 30 for 30. I'm sure they'll be great. But I I want to see like a Netflix show of just Michael Jordan watching an iPad. That's all I want to say. I just want to see Jordan watching an iPad. Can I watch that? Can we make this happen?
Oh, so good. He has the best reactions to everything. And each one's a better GIF than the last one, or GIF. Do you say GIF or GIF?
I mean, the story is allegedly the guy who created it wants it to be GIF, so we're supposed to honor the guy, but of course it looks like GIF. But I mean, I don't get upset either way. I don't. Some things tilt me in life. That one, people are very passionate about that one. I don't really care. Like, it's fine. I don't. However you want to say it.
Yeah.
I'm indifferent to it. So I had a couple other thoughts here. But what Jordan is given, like you said, that a meme and the GIF community is like Jordan is he's like the best GIF guy going forward. He's in the Hall of Fame for both basketball and GIF too. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait to use those. It's just so awesome. And him watching Gary Payton talk about how Gary Payton locked him down, he just lost it. Starts cracking up. I did have this question. I don't want to. I'm not here to start conspiracies, but okay. First of all, you live in Utah. Can you get a pizza at like 10 o'clock at night if you're hungry? Is it that hard?
It is that hard. Maybe not as much now, but I mean, there've been plenty of drunken nights where I've been trying to get pizza at midnight and have had a really hard time. So I do understand that side of it. The fact that I don't know, I don't think it was. How do you feel about this flu game?
Well, I mean, I never thought it was a flu game, and we've heard about the whole idea of food poisoning potentially too. And there's other people saying it was just Jordan like being drunk, and it's just kind of a cover-up story. But this doesn't make sense. This doesn't add up for me. You help me out. First of all, you're Michael Jordan. I'm assuming you're not calling up this pizza place and saying, "I want a pizza. My name is Michael Jordan." You have one of your guys. He's got his security guys around him. He's got his trainer around him, and one of them calls up and says, "Yeah, let me get a pizza," right? And then one person comes and delivers a pizza to your house, right? Or delivers a pizza to your apartment or your hotel. So I don't know what they said to these people, and apparently they called plenty of the pizza places, but the story goes that 5 pizza delivery guys show up. Look, why would 5 pizza delivery guys show up? That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, unless you say, I know you're closing in a half hour, but I'm Michael Jordan and I'm hungry. I demand a pizza and I'll pay you an extra $100 or something like that. I don't know. The whole story doesn't make any sense to me. Explain
that doesn't make sense. And if they didn't know it was MJ and then they found out when they got there, what are they doing? Putting eye drops on the pizza, or how are they getting the food poisoning to him? And then the other thing, if somebody orders a pizza, more than one person is going to have a slice. I've never seen just one person. If there's an open pizza box, somebody else is taking a bite of that.
How greedy is he? Wants the entire pizza. Like, one of his boys is probably hanging around. Like, yeah, I'll take a slice. Nobody turns down a slice of pizza. Yeah. Even if you had dinner, like, sure, I'll have a slice. Yeah, why not? What's a slice?
Yeah, that's the most unbelievable part to me. Somebody else had to eat that pizza if it was true.
Yeah.
Even if he was hungover, still impressive.
Oh, yeah, for sure. He went to, isn't there like Atlantic City games? There's Vegas games too. And that kind of bleeds in the whole Rodman thing. And again, all this is it's pre, everybody has a cell phone. It's pre-Facebook. It's pre-Twitter. It's pre-social media. It's pre-first take. It's pre all this stuff where it's everything. Any little thing you do is microscoped. And Dennis Rodman's going away to play with the NWO and Carmen Electra in between games. And it worked out great. And you can't coach every guy the same, right? Like, he's just a different kind of dude.
You know, a story that I didn't believe also is when MJ went to get Rodman in his room in Vegas, and Carmen Electra is saying, "Oh yeah, I was in the bed next to him, but you can tell she probably wasn't." And it seemed like somebody else was in that bed with him. She
said she ran away, like she hid because she didn't want it. She didn't want Jordan to see her in that state or something like that. You're suggesting it wasn't Carmen.
I don't believe it.
You're saying Dennis Rodman wasn't a faithful man? Is that what you're saying?
She might have been there too.
In addition to, yeah.
Anyway, Rodman's a character, man. One of the better characters ever. And, growing up, you just hear the bad stuff. But, he's just an interesting dude all around.
He had a recent 30 for 30 as well, too. I'm not sure if you caught that, but that was definitely for sure worth watching. I was digging through, just all sorts of things, from watching this. Like, Scottie Pippen's salary by year is just wild. Basically the Portland Trailblazers ending up, giving him like $65-70 million like 4 years. I think maybe one of those years was the Rockets or something like that. But like the Bulls barely paid him, barely in context,
7 years, $12 million. But I mean, at the same time, look, they got a great deal on him. He wanted long-term security. You can't really back out of it. I mean, I get that it's frustrating. The NBA kind of blew up after he signed that contract, and then everyone else was making more money than him. But that's kind of on him a little bit. And then at the end of the day, he made more than Michael during his NBA career, which is kind of crazy.
Well, Michael basically made all his money in 2 years. I mean, he made those money off the court, obviously. But like as far as his NBA money, like he wasn't making a ton of money. Like it was like less than $100 million in his career, I believe. He got like $1 million or so for each of those Washington years, which, I mean, obviously there's no reason to touch on that. I guess it's just focused on the Bulls. But I think it was just the 97 and 98 season where he was getting around 30 mil. But otherwise, he was, again, everything's relative. And obviously we'd all love millions of dollars a year. But, you would think he was an absolute steal. He was an absolute bargain.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And that's the case how it's always going to be in the NBA with the salary cap, and whoever the best player is always going to be hugely discounted compared to what they actually bring to the team and the organization.
Yeah, that bleeds into a whole other conversation, but I think it'd be a fun idea to, like, if there was, the NBA salary cap is, I don't know, $200 million. Just put a number on it. Like, how much would you give LeBron James if you can give him as much as you possibly can give him? Like, the point is, like, LeBron James and Steph Curry and like the top Durant, they're the most underpaid guys in the league if you really think about it. Yeah, I don't know. That's my thought on it.
No, I agree with you 100%. Like, if it was an open market and he would get, all of it, and then they would just get a bunch of scrubs around him.
Who do you want to see next? I mean, if there's a next like 30 for 30, or if there's next like a 10-part series, it doesn't have to be basketball, but is there anybody out there that you think would be a great subject?
So I don't think this would be as entertaining. I'd always love to see Tiger Woods. He wasn't probably as good of a, he doesn't bring as many, I don't know what I'm trying to say. He's not as active off the court, I guess.
Depends how you define active.
I don't think if he's in charge of it, they're going to talk much about that. But I mean, like, I'd love to see Tiger. I've seen a couple on Mike Tyson. I'd like to see any more Tyson would be great. Ken Griffey would be cool. The home run chasing would be cool. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, the home run chasing, we're going to have that in a month or so with Sosa and McGuire. And it's funny. It's the whole Griffey thing is so cool. Like, him and his father played Major League Baseball together in the same, and I think they believe they both did a home run in the same inning, which is just, how cool is that? What an awesome story. Like, nobody else can tell that story for the Reds. Yeah.
So much of, who you think's the greatest is, based on nostalgia and what you grew up with. So for me, it's always Griffey and Jordan and Tiger,
Griffey's got the prettiest swing, man.
Yeah.
It's the lefties, right? The lefties are the prettier swings.
Yeah, except golf. It looks different in golf. I don't know.
Nicholson doesn't have a nice swing? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, it's fine. It's better than mine for sure.
Yeah, well, sure. It's better than all these guys in the Outlaw Tour, I would imagine. Sure, why not? With that, Noto, I had a great time. I had a blast. Hopefully people learned something as far as the Outlaw. And again, let them know about your article. And, of course, I mean, I imagine they're aware of you. They're following you on Twitter machine. But tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, so on Twitter, I'm at RG_Notorious. I'll have an article there that'll be up on the homepage on RotoGrinders. If you're looking to find the lineup HQ for the Outlaw Tour, you can either find it, the link to it in my article, or you can click on the lineup HQ and then just sort by the sport at the very top. Trust the projections, have some fun with it. Had a lot of fun with you, especially talking about the MJ doc. I loved it so much. Didn't want it to end. And my Jazz, man, my poor Jazz.
Yeah, no spoilers. I didn't want to know. No matter how many. Yeah, it's maybe next time, I suppose. But I mean, there's a lot more to talk about as far as the whole Jordan thing. But I guess we'll save that for another day, because like you said, everybody wanted to make you kind of implied like the whole Jordan versus LeBron thing. Of course, it sparks that whole thing. And I mean, like, Jordan just had like a 10-part nostalgia, and I call it nostalgia porn, and it's like basically, I don't want to say propaganda, but it's hard to, like, you can't watch that and say, well, that guy wasn't any good. Like, of course he was amazing, and it showed how amazing he actually was. But like you said, as far as Tiger wouldn't necessarily focus too much on his off the field stuff. I thought it was interesting that, like, Jordan's ex-wife didn't make an appearance. I mean, I understand why.
Yeah.
Like, there's some people I thought, like, well, why weren't they in this? And there were some people that
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, it's like she was a big part of his life at some point, but I understand why that didn't happen, of course, and then that probably would have been a deal breaker for Jordan. But with that, Noto, I had a blast. I'm sure we'll talk soon enough as far as there's a $1 million golf tournament in a few weeks, I believe, right?
A few weeks. I think it starts June 11th at Colonial, so that'll be fun.
There you go. Pumping out these $1 million contests at DK. Of course, us DFS players, we are thirsty for content. We're thirsty for contents. I know there's a big contest just went down as far as MMA. I presume that's the way it's going to be going down going forward. We got the Bundesliga that went down this weekend as well too. So some sports are opening up. Stay tuned again to RotoGrinders.com for all your DFS content. He is Noto. I much appreciate you joining me. I'm Dean. Thanks for listening to the Morning Grind. We're out of here. Holler.